Good morning, everyone. Today I'm joined by Judd Nicholson, our Vice President and Chief Information Officer. And Judd, I want to thank you for joining me today and for the work of your team to support our virtual learning environment. We're especially grateful to you for all of your efforts to ensure that we're prepared for this moment. Now, you joined our community 8 years ago, and you now serve as our Vice President and Chief Information Officer. Could you share a little bit about your journey at Georgetown and what these past years have been like as we have strengthened our technology infrastructure?
Yes, President Joy, absolutely. First, I want to thank you for having me. I'm really grateful to talk to you today. 8 years ago, as you indicated, I came to Georgetown from the federal government. And I think one of the exciting things about coming from the federal government into Georgetown is, one, it's Georgetown, and certainly as Georgetown in that community, we have an opportunity to partner in a different way than we would in the federal government with large tech firms. We can go directly to them and talk about what emerging technology is there, how can that benefit higher education, and how can they sort of be innovative in that particular space. And I think also because of Georgetown's mission, not only teaching, learning, and research, but also social justice, global engagement, and making the world a better place than we found it. Those companies, we find like-minded companies to work with us. So the Googles of the world, the Salesforce, Verizon we're a lot more open to kind of leaning in and investing in our infrastructure to sort of help us put modern technology into our ecosystem. And I think the people too. Coming to Georgetown, the people have been absolutely fantastic. And even as we kind of move, as you indicated, into virtual learning, extremely resilient and creative in using technology in innovative ways. Like Zoom, for instance, using for social events. Right. I mean, all of us getting together for happy hours over Zoom, I think that's really wonderful.
Well, our technology infrastructure has been essential to our transition to a virtual learning and teleworking environment. Can you talk about the work of our team to help manage this transition?
Oh, absolutely. Our modernization journey, as you indicate, began probably 8 years ago or so, and it's been very deliberate. We wanted to ensure that we brought modern technology and secure technology into Georgetown, but also we wanted to be able to scale in a way that would meet the university's needs. And so as we were uniquely positioned among our peers, I think, to do that. And we had already made investments into Zoom, in a robust technical architecture and cybersecurity. And then when we moved to the virtual environment, we had sort of a platform or a foundation laid with instructional continuity. So from an instructional perspective, we were, I think, more prepared, to move to virtual learning than other institutions. I think one of our biggest challenges as we moved to virtual learning was making sure people had the right equipment. Mm-hmm. And not whether that was a laptop or a desktop. And in some cases, that could be stable Wi-Fi or internet connections in their homes. And so as we were contemplating and thinking through the move, we proactively bought equipment, laptops and desktops so that they were staged and ready for folks if they needed to use them. And we expanded our licensing. The team expanded our licensing so we wouldn't have any issues with remote logins. And we set up a website, which we called Work Wherever You Are. So that it could be a good resource and a quick resource for folks to turn to set up their technology and to provide tips on how to work from home because it was completely new to some folks.
You know, as we look back on these past few months, what have we learned from this moment? What should we be attentive to as we look ahead?
Well, that's an interesting question. When it became clear that COVID and the pandemic was going to impact the fall semester, I think what we did was a very collaborative effort, not only with our technology partners, but with internal auxiliary services, the police department, the Office of Emergency Management, and others, and use that collaborative effort to provide leadership with options, like here are options to various technologies or various processes or mitigations. And I think one of the biggest lessons, and maybe it's obvious, but that we're all in this together, that it isn't just one single unit that if we work together towards a common goal, we can be agile and pivot and provide leadership with solutions. And so I think as we move forward, we'll need to be attentive to make sure that we consider that collaboration and different perspectives. A virtual environment is also very challenging to meet people where they are. It may be easier also for people who are quieter or more reserved or who have unique situations to become overlooked. So making sure we're attentive going forward to all members of our community. And I think we need to put an effort into ensuring we continue to engage everyone, as I mentioned before. We were faced with are faced with a very unique challenges, and it required a unique approach. And I think we're paying a lot of attention to how do we manage that risk and how do we be innovative in doing that in ways that no one has done before. I mean, really, we're totally new. Everything's totally new.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about the trends we're seeing across higher education when it comes to technology? Where were we before mid-March, and what has changed since then? I'd like to get a better sense of the overall trends in higher ed.
Well, I think we will see, and frankly, more institutions following our footsteps to move as much of their applications and their physical technical infrastructure in the cloud. I think that's still a trend, a growing trend, particularly to reduce the footprint, the physical footprint. I think at the same time, so much of Georgetown experience relies on physical interaction and physical presence. I think we have a trend in other institutions and other higher ed institutions that maybe have had a longer standing using online curricula. I think that'll be something that we can sort of look at and emulate. And how do we extend the Georgetown experience? And that as a trend in higher ed. We work very closely with Candles and Eddie Maloney and his team to continue to push the boundaries of the physical classroom we're seeing in higher ed. How do you basically extend an authentic, genuine Georgetown experience in a virtual environment? And we can look hard at that and how to provide that experiential learning that has traditionally been done when people are close together or in physical close proximity.
Sure. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Now, in recent years, as you've just mentioned in regard to the move to the cloud, we've sought to deepen our longstanding university commitment to sustainable campus operations as we continue to evolve in our efforts to meet the needs of our university community. Can you talk a little bit about how a commitment to sustainability shapes your work?
Absolutely. It might not be intuitive, but sustainability was one of the key considerations when we moved to a cloud-based infrastructure. It reduces our carbon footprint in the form of moving those servers and printers and all that energy consumption associated with having a big data center from on campus into a shared space. And we've continued over the last several years to consolidate our data centers and pushing more and more of that into the cloud or into shared resource facilities. So where we're not the only tenant, it is shared among multiple organizations. And if there's one thing we've learned in this pandemic is we don't really need all that paper that we've been using. Don't need to consume as much paper as we have in the past. So that's a little microcosm of the work that sort of the impact the pandemic has had on.
Sure. And if you could, we're virtual this fall. We still have most of our workforce is teleworking. Mm-hmm. For you and your team, how challenging is it for us to be able to sustain the infrastructure really to provide for both the virtual learning community and for our teleworking community?
It's a challenge, but I think we're well suited and well prepared to meet the challenge. Because of the work that we've done and the deliberate work we've done over the last 8 years, we really have an infrastructure that can serve any modality, whether that is an in-person modality, whether that is hybrid, kind of both in-person and online, or whether that's a completely virtual. So I think the flexibility that we've put into it, as well as sort of how we have deployed and implemented, is a challenge, of course, to manage all those particular things, but I think we've done well to prepare, and we're suited, and we're ready to do it. We're ready to meet that challenge.
We're deeply grateful to you for everything that you're doing and enabling us to sustain our mission as a university. In closing, is there one last word you'd like to leave with the members of our community as we're in the getting this fall semester off to a start?
Right. Well, maybe two, if I could, two
Sure,
short
sure.
ones.
Sure.
This may sound odd coming from a CIO, but I think it is one message that I'd like to share is that technology can be used to facilitate a human interaction and the community, but it can't replace it. And so what I would tell folks is, this is a very difficult situation. Take the opportunity to unplug and take some time to connect with your family and your friends, your loved ones. Tell them how grateful you are for their presence. You can do that through technology, but as we know, it's good to unplug once in a while. This takes a lot of energy.
Sure.
And to the members of the community, and to you, President Joy, I really thank you and express a lot of gratitude for your leadership and for my department's resilience. They've been incredibly resilient and able to persevere in spite of all of these challenges presented by the pandemic. It's really been proud of the work that they're doing.
Wow. We're deeply grateful to you, and it's a real privilege for me to be able to spend this time with you this morning. I want to extend my gratitude to Judd Nicholson, and again, our gratitude for everything that he and his team and UIS have done to support our community and our virtual learning environment. I want to thank Judd for joining us this morning, and I look forward to being with all of you again in the very near future. Take care of yourselves and take care of everyone around you. For every Hoya, everywhere.